the big challenge for us this week, getting back into conference play. You never can control how the schedule plays out. You can't control everybody, but so we end up this year, we play the two top teams in the SEC East. And that rotates, so that just happens sometimes with scheduling. So obviously a huge challenge against an excellent football team. They're a play away really from being undefeated. Probably should be. Just one mental mistake after really dominating the game. They should be undefeated coming in here right now in a top 25 team easily nationally. So great challenge for us. They got a lot of talent on the field. Mark does a good job having them believing that they can win football games, and do a good job mixing it up, run pass. Obviously a physical defense. The guys understand their scheme, what they're trying to do. And, they attack you from a lot of different directions, give you a lot of different defensive looks. Offensively, spread the ball around, and have some real good running backs. So it'll be a big challenge for us. Obviously, it was a tough game for us last year up there. Went right down to the wire, and we seem to have some pretty tough battles with them year in, year out. So we need, hopefully for us, the benefit we have being at home, second week in a row. Hopefully we get a huge crowd. Hopefully our fans give us that home field advantage that we need. That making it really hard on the opposing team.
Questions?
Coach, Kentucky runs some different fronts, kind of unique to their scheme. What do you see from defensively?
Well, they're very multiple. They'll be 3 down, 4 down. They'll pressure you. They'll move different directions, blitz a lot of different guys. Going to show a lot of different coverage looks. They got a lot of length on the outside at the corner position. So, they pose some unique challenges in with how multiple they are.
Coach, last year, in the court of public opinion, SEC quarterback play took a beating. This year it seems to be a lot better with Fromm than we saw at Georgia and Nick you work with every day. Is it a better year for quarterback play in the SEC from what you've seen?
I don't know. I thought it wasn't good last year. When everybody looks at those things, I don't see everybody lining up to play all the teams in the SEC. So, not conference-wise, with quarterbacks, defense, running backs, skill positions everywhere. So there's a lot of good players. I don't know one year to the next if it's how the quarterback play goes, good and bad, as people want to judge it. I think there's some pretty darn good players in this league. So.
Had a lot of close games last year. The Kentucky game in particular. Do you feel like that's a game that you let slip a play there at the end?
I don't know. At the end, beginning to end, there's a lot of things they did a lot of things to make plays to win the game. We did some things to make plays to win the game. They just made one more play than we did. A kicker kicks a career-long field goal, as time expires. So it was a tough game back and forth. And, I'm sure there's things we could have done better. I bet they'll look at it and say, boy, there are things we could have done better too to, maybe not make it come down to the final play of the game.
Hey, Dan, you talk a lot about what's best for the student athletes. So I was just curious what you thought of the schedule being the way it is with playing Kentucky every single year.
I haven't thought much about all that. It is what it is. In my mind, I'm great with however they do it. I don't know that I have the solution, if that makes sense. How you do it within the league, whether you, because you can say, okay, you want to play more teams from the East. Like, I love this. We play Kentucky all the time. I say this. We've played South Alabama and Louisiana Tech the same number of times I've played Vanderbilt and Tennessee combined since I've been here in 9 years. So, Kentucky, I view Kentucky, we play the SEC West in Kentucky. Everybody else is basically, in how the league is, equates to almost a non-conference game that you don't play them very often. So, it'd be cool to do it other ways. I don't know the solution, though, if that is. I'd have to really sit down and study it is it 2 rotating crossovers? Do you just, your crossovers rotate all the time, so you have the opportunity to play more? Is it, I don't know, I've heard all different options, right? You can do no divisions, and you have one permanent team that you play as a rival, or 2 permanent teams you play as a rival, then everybody else rotates, you get to play everybody. I have my hands full, I guess, trying to get ready and try to win football games for us, not to figure out the mathematics of scheduling. But you can make arguments either way. I think people get worried about the loss of rivalries when you look at that possibly sometimes. So, but you know, you also miss out on the opportunity of playing a lot of different teams from the other side of the league.
What is it about Aries Williams that gets better as the game goes on? How does he adapt his game once he gets past carry 15, 16?
Well, I think, you know, I mean, he's a big physical back. You know, he gets into the flow of the game, understands how people are going to play us. You know, I mean, just because you see it on film doesn't mean that's all they're going to do. BYU played us very differently than what they'd shown on film coming into the game. And so, you know, you kind of got to get in the flow of the game, understand how the breeds are going to be made. And you know, fortunately, he's a guy that's a great conditioned athlete. He's going to continue to get stronger. And so as the game goes on and he's more comfortable with the reads and understand what's going on, he's still going to be in great shape running hard in the fourth quarter.
Having a chance to look at the film and the offensive line, what were kind of your impressions of Greg Allen's first career start?
I thought he did a pretty solid job. You know, I really do. I think you know, a couple things here and there that he needs to improve on. But you know, to me, as a first career start, you see him be able to do those things in practice. The thing that was impressive to me is just his demeanor during the game. He never got himself flustered or any of those things. So, you know, you see what he can do, the potential he has during practice. So, you know, you expect him to do things, but you know, when you get out there in a live game situation, it's very different. So I think he handled himself pretty well out there on the field and never got himself flustered.
I was curious what would happen if Stuart Reese or Greg Allen were to get hurt without Martinez ranking. Like, what would be your next move there? At that point?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that we would go. You know, you have the potential of Evans Wilkerson going into tackle. We could go Harrison Moon to center and Elton Jenkins out to tackle. You know, we could go, Michael Story was not available for the last game, but you could go Michael Story to guard and move one of the guards out to tackle, depending on where we are in the game and what we're trying to get done. So, it's, you know, I mean, there's not one answer. You're going to be moving pieces around.
Would you consider using Phillips?
Probably not at this point. I mean, I definitely 100% if they ever NCAA did the, you know, you talk about great, what's good for the student athlete. If they did that, you could play 4 games in redshirt. Absolutely. You know, I mean, that'd be the first move. You know, he'd be competing to start right now with Greg.
But not right now.
But not at this point. With not expecting Martinez back. You know, I mean, he'd play 1 year, 1 game, and lose a whole year of eligibility, and that's not fair to the student athlete. So, you know, for us, I don't want to sacrifice the future of the student athlete just for us to get through a game. You know, I don't think that's right to do to the student athletes, and so hopefully the NCAA looks at that and understands that that's not right to the student athlete and really takes action on what is the best interest of student athletes on that.
The baseline numbers for Kentucky's quarterback, Stephen Johnson, are a lot better than they were from a year ago. What do you see in film from him that's better than the guy you faced last year?
Well, I just think experience. You know what I mean? He's played now, understanding the offense, understanding the reads. He's a great athlete. You know, can make plays with his feet, but also the maturity of knowing when not to. You know, when to make plays with the arm. I think, you know, younger guys, sometimes they make plays with their feet first, and then they learn, you know, how to throw second. You see, he's finding that balance of how to do it, and you know, and understanding what they're trying to accomplish.
Dedrick's been pretty consistent, at least statistically this year. It seems like he gets 2 or 3 catches a game, 30 yards or so a game, and things. What have you seen from him this year?
Well, he's done a good job. You know, he's grown a lot. He's been able to play multiple positions for us, which helps. You know, and he has that depth. I know he had 2 drops on Saturday, which is kind of uncharacteristic of him. But I think he's done a good job of being a good route runner, catches the ball well, and then, you know, I think he's done a real good job of after the catch, a little make you miss and getting some extra yardage after the catch, and one of our better guys of doing that this season.
This is a scary moment for Darrell Williams last year against Kentucky. What's it like as a head coach when your player goes down, and what have you seen from him since he came back?
Well, I mean, he's grown a lot. Obviously, you know, you worry about the individual that's there, you know, in those situations, making sure that, especially in that, you know, when it looks like it's a significant injury, a little different sometimes if it's an ankle sprain or one of those things. It's something that you know. Something that could be more serious, you know, one of the first things you want to do is make sure, just find out what the doctors think where it's at. You don't want to guess. You know, you want to make sure the family's well informed. I know with the Darrell last year, we tried to, you know, I think John Clark had gotten in touch with his family before he even left the field, his mom, just so that there was contact and they could know where you know, it's probably much scarier even for the family than it is for the coaches. But it's always hard because you watch guys put in work. You know, these guys, you treat them like they're part of your family. You know, they are here. They're all part of our family. And so when you see one of them get hurt, you're obviously really concerned. But you know, it's great that he's come back and he really worked hard into becoming a starter, and he's done a good job of that this year.
Coach, you mentioned Kentucky one play away from being undefeated. They appear to be a team that always believes they can win the ball game because they found a way to win late. How do you compete against that? How do you kind of beat that confidence back?
Well, I mean, you have to. I mean, they do. Mark's done a good job. You know, it looks a lot how we built our program. You know, in coming here, getting some guys believing that they played really hard. Put them in a system where they can be successful. They're flexible within what they do. Both offensively and defensively. They play really hard, and their guys believe that they're going to win. It's a lot how we've built our program here, and you can see probably a lot of similarities between our two programs. And you know, they're starting. I guess I had a couple-year head start on them, but you see, you know, that they're really starting to get that way. As you know, I mean, this year being right now the number 2 team in the East, and they haven't played the number 1 team, so they still control their own destiny to win the East. And you know. So we get to play the best 2 teams. I don't know which one's 1 or 2 yet. I mean, look at the stats. There's one's 1, one's 2, but they haven't played each other to figure that out yet.
Was there more of a conscious effort going into that game to keep mixing more involved in the offense, or was that just what the defense
Last
was
game?
giving?
No, I think just what they were giving us, and you know, I thought Fitz just made some good decisions, and you know, I think that's part of it right there. You know, I mean, I think it's. They were giving us that, hadn't taken advantage of it, but Fitz didn't try to force the ball either, you know, and he did a nice job managing, and a couple of his throws, you know, a bunch of the throws were short, quick throws to him. But that's Fitz not trying to force it down the field. They just going to say, hey, he's not going to take the quick, short throws, so don't cover that guy, and he managed the game well.
You mentioned last week that Michael Story was hurt. What was his injury, and do you expect to have him back this week?
Yeah, he tweaked his knee later in the week in practice, and he was cleared to play the game, but he didn't practice later in the week, and just didn't feel 100%. And talking to the docs, it wasn't a medical thing holding back. They just didn't think physically he'd be ready to play. So hopefully we expect him back this week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.